Parak Ayin Zion, the 77th chapter, continues with this, with these chapters from the Guild of Asaph, the sweet singers of Israel. Lamatzeach al Yidutun, the Asaph Mizmor, for the leader on Yidutun. We said many times, we don't know exactly what that means. Probably some sort of instrument that the leader was playing, conducting with. This is a psalm of Asaph. Koli el Elohim ve'etz aka, koli el Elohim v'ha'azin elai. I cry to God that he may give ear to me. So listen, God. When am I crying out to you, God? Like every atheist, biyom tsarati Adonai, darashti yadi. Laila nigra velo tafug, me ana hinachem nafshi. When I was in the foxhole, right in my time of distress, I turned to God. I lifted up my hands, my eyes flow, right? Tears all night without respite. I'm in such a desperate situation. I'm calling out to you. Now we know that the authors of Tehillim, the Asaph and David and others, are not, don't just call out to God at this terrible moments. They call out to God genuinely, always, in times of trouble and in times of joy. And they promise to thank God after a time of joy. And so I'm turning to God here in this time of distress, where he says at the end of this verse, I will not be comforted. And why? Ezkira Elohim ve'ehemaya asicha v'titatef ruchi sela. I call God, I moan, I complain. My spirit is down. Things are not so good for me here. We'll see this word is going to come on a number of occasions. The opening word of verse 4, Ezkira, Zachor, remember. I'm calling mine to God. I'm remembering God. God, remember me. We're in verse 5, Pasukei, Achazta, Shemurot Einai, Nifamti velo adaber. God, you've keeping me awake. You've left my eyes open. But I am overwhelmed. I can't speak. Chishavti yamim mikedem shnot olamim. My thoughts turn to days of old, to the deep past. Ezkira neginati balaylim levavia sicha vayicha peis ruchi. I recall at night the hits, the things that came to me. I think myself, my spirit, it digs deep, right? And we know zocher, remember. Memory is important. Memories are good, but memories can be too much. Memories can be difficult. Memories can be overwhelming. Will the Lord reject forever and never again show favor? I'm remembering all these difficult things, all these difficulties. Ha'afes lanetzach chasto gamar omer lidor vador. Has Ephes, has sort of faithfulness or nothingness? Has faithfulness disappeared forever? Will God's promises be unfulfilled for all time? Imagine somebody during whatever horrific Jewish massacre we can think of, and it's not that hard to remember one and remember many, saying this, God, where are you? Why are you not here? Have you forgotten us? I remember, you should remember. And that's continuing verse 10. Hashachach chanot el. Has God forgotten to chain? Has God forgotten pity? Im kafatz ba'af rachamav sela. Has he in anger gotten rid of, stifled, closed up his rachamim, his compassion? And then sela, right? Is this forever? Is this the end of that musical notation that the Yidutun that the leader is playing with? Is that what we have going on? So a prayer, a turnout to God. I am not comforted. Things are so difficult. I remember. God, do you remember? Have you closed up? Are we not going to get any comfort from you? Continuing verse 11, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Va'omar chalotihi shnot yamin elyon. And I said, it's my fault, right? That God is not coming to my defense. It's something that I have done. As kor ma'alaleya, he as karami kedem pil echa. I recall the deeds of God. I recall the ancient days, kedem, your wonders, your pilaot, pela, a wonder, a miracle, vigiti b'chol pa'alecha, Uva'alilotecha asich, I recount all your works, I speak of all your acts. So we can think of this as, like we said, the Jewish people at times of difficulty. We can think of it about the life of David, even if this is coming from Asaph. David, who had so much, everything seemed perfect for him, as we said so many times before, war hero against Goliath, chief musician to the king, married to the king's daughter, on his way to the throne, he's been told, and then he's running for his life. Or later in his life, after he's already king, running away from his capital, leaving behind after the rebellion of his son. So I recall the wonders of old. I speak of them. Continuing verse Yudalit, Elohim ba'kodesh darkecha, mi el gadol kelohim. God, your ways are kadosh, they are holiness. Right? So what does holy mean is a great question. We'll take a Rashi interpretation. They're separate, they're different than everybody else's, your ways, your wonders. Nothing is as great as you, God. Ata ha'el oseh fele, hodata va'amim uzecha. You're God who does, again, niflaot, who does wonders. You have shown it amongst the people. Ga'alta bizroa amecha b'nei Yaakov Yosef Sela. But with your arm, you redeemed your people, the children of Yaakov and Yosef. Interesting, of course, to think, why here is it Yaakov and Yosef? Is this referring back to Yetziat Mitzrayim? Is it somehow referring to Yosef as being the northern kingdom, whose ruler was Ephraim? Is that what it's referring to? Is it referring to somehow the idea of the brothers selling Yosef, even when we have difficulties, internally as Jews? Yet God, you still come and you redeem your people. Different ways of trying to think. Usually it would be Yehuda and Yosef who would come together as representing the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. The Bnei Yaakov is that literally, as we're saying, referring to the other sons of Yaakov and Yosef going into slavery because of their fighting. But God, through your arm, you have done this even when we have had internal divisions. And so I remember, God, and please remember as well. Continue in verse Yud Zayim, in Pasuk Yud Zayim, verse 17. Ra'u chamayim Elohim, ra'u chamayim yachilu af yirgezu tahomot. The waters saw you, God. The waters saw and were convulsed. The very deep quaked as well. Right? Is this going back to creation? Is this, as we've said many times, sort of mythic imagery that was well known in the ancient and classical periods, like we've talked about? God who destroys the quote unquote the sea monster and makes the stretches the earth, as it says in Yeshai and other places, over the land. Is this referring back to Kriyat Yam Suf? Many different ways of looking at it. Zormu mayim avot kol natnu shechakim af chatzatzecha yithalachu. Clouds streamed water, the heavens rumbles, your arrows flew about. Kol ra'amcha bagalgal ha'iru v'rakim tevel ragza vatirash ha'aretz. Your thunder rumbled like wheels, lighting up the world. The earth quaked and trembled. Have this idea galgal. We know, of course, rakevet hagalgalim. Have this term used back in the beginning of Yechezkel when he talks about God's Merkava, God's chariot on the move from Yerushalayim to Bavel, God leaving with the destruction of the temple, and talk there about the Galgalim, about the wheels that were turning. So is this going back all the way to other Galgalim? Is it talking about a different Merkava, the chariots of Pharaoh in the sea, which were sunk down into the sea? Or is it something else that's being referred to? Bayam darkecha ushvilcha bamayim rabim ve'ikvotecha lo noda'u. Your way was through the sea, your path through the mighty waters, your tracks could not be seen. Nachita chatzon amecha biyad Moshe ve'Aharon. You led your people like a flock in the care of Moshe and Aharon. So here at the end, he goes back and says that, at least in part, one of the explanations, one of the understandings here is referring specifically to Kriyat Yam Suf. I don't think it's the only one, with the allusions here of the water and of Bnei Yaakov and Joseph, but I think it is one of them, and probably the main one. But what we have here is somebody who's calling out, somebody who's in a deep and difficult place, whether it be a personal place, whether it be on a national level, somebody who doesn't see God's coming back, God's intervention. And maybe it's because the Jewish people have done something wrong. But if you can overlook the fights between Yosef and his brothers, if you can overlook the difficulties that we've had, then certainly even these days, the same way you led our people through the Yam Suf, you led our people through the sea. Please remember that and remember us. And so perhaps at the end, when that happened, and if we remember back, when the Jews were sitting at Kriyat Yam Suf, there was a lot of great difficulty. Many of the Jews thought that this was going to be the end. Perhaps the majority of them, they were worried. They didn't know. Why did we leave Moshe? Why did you do this to us? And of course, we know that God does protect them with.
We're frozen.
I thought maybe it was just me. You're not hearing the rabbi?
No, it looks like he's frozen,
Yeah, he's frozen for me too.
but it's at the end.
I think it's,
Oh, maybe he's still logged in, but
oh, yeah.
then
No,
now
no,
he's
he's logged
logged
off.
off.
Okay.
Okay.
We're almost at the end of the chapter, so.
He should be coming back on in a minute.
Yeah.
hopefully. Not.
He might be having trouble with his internet, so he may
Yeah.
be having trouble signing back in.
Yeah. All right, we'll wait another minute and then. Well, maybe he had trouble.
Maybe he'll add it. He'll add it to the beginning tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I think he was at the end, pretty much. Tomorrow's a very long one, like 79 verses.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, you're reading ahead. Good for you. That's
For some reason, he made me the host, so I think I'm just gonna end the meeting because
Okay,
because it doesn't make sense. I think he probably had a problem. Anyway,
okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks,
Alrighty.
Ray.
okay.
take care.
Great.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
All
you. Bye.
right.